Hey, what's going on, people? It's Guns from NextGenTactics, another mini news update. And the reason why they're mini is, rather than going on rambling for 15 to 20 minutes, short little news things, you guys can pick what news articles you actually want to see without having to actually sit there for 15 minutes and me going blah, 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 blah. Anyway, as you know, by the title of this one, and maybe some of you don't know at all, the Cuban government is actually displeased, disgusted, however you want to call it, with the Call of Duty Black Ops game. Because of the scene in the beginning where you were required to assassinate the Cuban head of state, Fidel Castro. For those of you that don't know, I just ruined it for you. Deal with it. It's a game. You'll be alright. You get to kill him. Go in. Enjoy yourself. Anyway, they said it was perverse. And of course the link to the article is in the description for those of you that want to read it. And basically they're like, oh, you know, this is outrageous, what you failed to do, you know, what the U.S. Government failed to do. This is what they were saying. Failed to do actually in real life. You know, you make it so that, you know, interfere and make a game that allows you to do it fictitiously or whatever. And I just want to put my 2 cents in this, first of all. As you guys may or may not know, I'm Canadian, not American, but I do follow, to a certain degree, you know, American history, because we're closely related. We share the largest undefended border in the world. We're very close allies. So, you know, I follow a lot of that stuff. And quite frankly, I don't actually, and I'm sorry if this sounds harsh, but I don't really care. I don't care whether or not, you know, maybe he's a good guy now or something like that. But the Cuban Missile Crisis was legitimate, and a legitimate threat to me as well, being up here in Canada, my family. It was one of the most scary events in American history, something that was so damn close and could have been so catastrophic. And the Cuban government allowed the Russians to bring in nuclear weapons, which put the entire, you know, countries, both countries, at risk. Huge war. And I'm sorry if you feel punished or whatever, and you feel like, oh, you shouldn't kill Castro. Perhaps he should have been assassinated for pulling something like that. That could have been the absolute worst thing to happen post World War II. Beyond what anything would have happened in Vietnam. This would have been catastrophic, especially when we're dealing with nuclear weapons here. So you know what? As far as I'm concerned, screw that crap. I don't care if you're upset about it. Maybe he should have been assassinated. And I read some comments too, and actually if you read in the article, I don't know who this guy is, but they're saying, you know, he makes comments, this individual, he or she, I don't know who it is, could be a hermaphrodite, which is both an innie and an outie. Anyway, they made a comment that, oh, well, you know, your democracy at the time was not a good democracy, and you ignored the people of Cuba, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, first of all, you mentioned nothing about the Cuban Missile Crisis, the fact that your country, for whatever reasons, whether it was monetary gain or whatever, maybe you thought you'd get powerful, and now you got punished, rightly so. But they were like, oh, well, it was corrupt, and maybe it was. But then now, you know, Fidel has made it communist, and we're able to prosper. Prosper! You're one of the poorest nations in the world, other than Haiti or something like that. Prosper! I mean, come on. That's absolutely the most ludicrous thing I've ever friggin' heard. And it would be nice. I'm not saying you shouldn't, and I'm not trying to say don't, like I want your people to suffer. Your people are full of love and everything like that. As Canadians, we're allowed to travel down there. You know what I mean? And as a human being, I wouldn't want to see that. But you know what? A duck's a duck. Don't say that you're prospering when you've got 1940 or 1950 cars still there, and you have to keep repairing them because nothing goes in or out of the country. You're poor. The country is poor. It is hurting. It needs to rebuild. Maybe Fidel Castro did indeed hold it and take a horrible situation because of the U.S. cutting them off, basically killing them for something that you did wrong. It's like a slap on your hand, a little harder than a slap on the hand, but I would say that it's justified considering the damage that your government would have done to our lives. You don't like our lifestyle, that's fine, but you don't bring missiles onto your land, so you got punished. And the fact that it's in a video game, number one, it's not the US government that created the game. Okay, so they were talking about, they were like, you know, now the US government is implementing this. Like, seriously, whoever's writing these articles, I didn't read the actual government site, but if that is actually in it, those people, I mean, come on. Really, you're in the actual government agency and you're writing this? You've got to be really stupid to write that down. The US government does not use video games as propaganda. The developers write it. They're, you know, the Americans that are involved in development of the game. You know, they're the ones that do it. And not even Americans. I mean, whether you're in Europe or whatever, you see situations like the Cuban Missile Crisis and you're like, that was a travesty. Maybe he should have died. And here's your opportunity to change the history books. That's what it is. It's not the U.S. government saying, come on, fine it, let's do it. What does the U.S. government give a crap about it for? Anyway, I've rambled on way too much about it. I'm sure I pissed off a lot of Cubans or whatever. But I'm not dissing the people. If you are Cuban, I'm not disrespecting you. I'm talking about your government. The government that friggin' screwed that up. You let in the evil wolf that could have ravaged this entire area. And if you're in the United States right now, if you're actually in the United States, in the what you call a home now, then you should understand that life, you know, if you want to protect Cuba and if Cuba is so great and everything like that, why are you in the United States? Why'd your family leave? Not that great. It's not that great. Don't tell me that it's prospering, because it's not. It's why people leave and put their lives at jeopardy to leave that country to come to the United States. Okay? So don't give me that crap. Anyway, I'm Guns for Hire. Ha ha ha! Stirred things up. Yes, I did. Peace.